Hey guys, this video is about how Wushu splits are used in context, how they're different from other disciplines, and how to train them effectively. So the obvious use of splits in Wushu is for split landings. However, if you look a little bit more closely, splits are used in Wushu almost in every movement. In your kicks, in your stances, in your stance transitions, in jumps, in balances, basically everything. What I love about splits in Wushu is that you're not just showing off your beautiful flexibility, you're using your crazy flexibility to do something, whether it be to get out of the way, to attack or defend, or just show that you can fight in some crazy position. Some people might even say that Wushu doesn't start until you have all three splits and you're head to toe. Of course, if you don't have that flexibility, you can absolutely get started doing Wushu. However, it's true that there is a certain look and feel of Wushu that only happens when you have that full range of motion. On top of that, even after you have that full range of motion, you still need a lot of practice and training to develop the control and coordination to do Wushu well. So when we talk about splits, what are we even talking about? A split is any time your legs are at 180 degrees or more. One distinction to be made is between front splits and middle splits. Front splits have one leg in front of you and one leg behind, while middle splits have both your legs out to the side. Another important distinction to be made is between closed splits and open splits. Closed splits is what you might see a gymnast or dancer do in that your back leg, the knee is pointed down to the ground and your hips are square. Whereas for Wushu landings, you'll often have an open split. In open splits for Wushu, actually your back knee isn't pointed to the ground, but pointed out to the side. This lets your back hip open up so that you can use your back leg, your back foot, and your back knee to help get yourself up off the ground or control yourself in your landing. There are other more advanced variations of splits, including head to toe in splits and standing splits. Today's video is specifically going to talk about front splits, both open and closed. So for today's training, I'm going to go through a full body warm-up. I'm going to practice some splits in context. I'm currently working on a straight sword form from 1978, an athlete named Li Xia, and she has me doing splits left and right. I want to be specifically working on my splits in this context, so I will do that. And then afterwards, I will show you a full routine that you can do to practice working on not only your flexibility, but your strength through those extended positions. The reason that I do my Wushu splits in context before working on just my flexibility is similar to why people who go to the gym work on their more complex, technical, or heavy lifts before doing their accessory work. I need all of my energy and my nervous system on to do the more technical, integrated movements, and then after my energy is spent a little bit, I can cool down afterwards and work on my flexibility. All right, so first thing, get my blood moving. As I'm warming up, it's really important that I'm doing two things here. The first is get my nervous system on and active in that the applications of splits in Wushu, these kicks and split landings that I'm going to do, if I'm too relaxed, then I can't use my explosive energy to kick and then get in and out of the splits. Additionally, I want to be practicing my full range of motion. In my warm-up, I'm going to reach the full extension of my splits. Though I'm not actively working on flexibility while I'm warming up, I do want to hit my full range of motion such that I can easily access the full range of motion in my practice. The most basic use of splits in Wushu are stretch kicks. To do a stretch kick, you will have your hands pressed out to the side. You can start with your weight on one leg, and the other leg is going to come up and down, your leg staying perfectly straight. As you do this, your foot is flexed and your foot should come all the way up to your head and whip back down. You don't want anything that shouldn't be moving to be moving. For example, your chest shouldn't be wiggling around, your standing leg shouldn't be bending. If you're limited by your flexibility, you should only kick as high as you can without straining yourself or losing your posture. Your splits and your stretch kick height will develop in tandem. If you're comfortable doing standing stretch kicks, you can start to connect them in sequence. What you'll do is you'll kick with one leg, bring that leg down, and then that same leg will step forward. Kick, bring down, step forward. Kick, bring down, step forward. As you do this kick, you want your body to be relaxed such that your leg isn't coming up and down stiff like a robot arm, but snapping up and down like a whip. This can only happen if you're very comfortable in your splits. Okay, so the power split or open split that you use for split landings in Wushu is slightly different from a split that a gymnast or dancer might do. For those disciplines, it's more likely that you will have your hips squared, your back knee facing down, and your front toes pointed. Whereas for Wushu with the power split, your front foot is flexed, your back hip is open rather than being squared forward, your back hip is open. In addition, your chest will be leaning forward slightly. This also helps there be less weight on your back leg. I don't recommend working on getting in and out of splits powerfully until you're very comfortable in your splits and even have some oversplit. Additionally, you should be able to fluidly move through drop stance, bow stance transitions. This helps strengthen the muscles in your hips and legs. So to practice dropping into splits, you're not only putting your feet into position, you're actively kicking them into position. And leaning your chest forward. Leaning your chest forward helps get pressure off of your back leg as well. And then from here, you will bend your back knee and use your back foot to give yourself leverage to get yourself back out. So if you can't do the splits and you're wondering why, it is likely due to one or both of these limiting factors. The first is flexibility in the underside of the front leg of your split. These are your hamstrings. You can check if you're limited in flexibility here by sitting in a half split and then starting to lean forward. If you find that your back immediately wants to bend, you feel a lot of tension underneath your knee, or that your knee wants to bend, then you're likely very limited in your hamstring flexibility. The other main limiting factor for people is the front side of this back leg here, your quads and your hip flexor flexibility. This is a bigger limiting factor for me personally. You can find if you're limited in your quad and hip flexor flexibility by sliding into your lowest split and then trying to sit up. As you see, I'm trying to sit up. I have to bend my back to get my chest higher while my pelvis stays tilted forward. This is because the whole front side of my thigh is very tight. So how to work on flexibility? There are a lot of different strategies to stretching. One common strategy for increasing flexibility is just static stretching, where you hold a position as long and as hard and as far as you can at trying to get to a further position. Additionally, there is a method called PNF stretching, which uses a contract-relax cycle to get your muscles active in an extended position and then relax them so they gradually become more comfortable and strong in that position. Another method to increase flexibility is doing mobility exercises, which focuses on building strength in the extended positions. I found that for me, as somebody with really tight hips who does Wushu, a combination of these methods, static stretching, PNF stretching, and mobility work has helped me get and maintain the flexibility that I need for Wushu. I'm going to walk you through a whole routine that I do. This is something that you can do after your practice. I recommend adding it into your schedule a couple times a week. However, definitely pay attention to when your muscles get sore or feel extremely tight. Working on flexibility is a type of building strength, and so it's important to have time between your stretching sessions so your body can recover and build that strength so that you can have more flexibility. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is go through downward and upward dog 5 times. As I'm in down dog, I can feel my hamstrings and my calves getting stretched, just getting warmed up. And then I'll come over to upward dog. All right, next I'm just gonna do a hanging forward fold. Start in a standing position and then slowly lean forward, keeping your knees straight and your back straight, trying to lean far forward, feeling that stretch through your hamstrings. If this is too easy, you can put your toes up on an elevation to get a bigger stretch through your calves, or put weights in your hands to help pull yourself down farther. We'll hold this for 30 seconds. As you're here, you can really wiggle around just a little bit to see where you're more tight. Sometimes one side is more tight than the other. Sometimes if you twist a little bit to the side or the other side, you can feel different areas that are tight. Next, you will pick a side that you want to start on. I prefer my left side, so I'm going to start with that and get into a lunge position. From here, we're just going to push forward and back 5 times. As I push forward, I'm feeling the stretch across that back leg and back, and I feel that stretch under my hamstring. On this 5th one, we're going to stay in this position here. You're going to lean as far forward as you can without rounding your back or bending your front leg. Try to pull your head towards your foot or your chest towards your knee. We're going to hold this for 30 seconds. All right, shake that out. Now you're going to sit up. You're going to flex that front foot and then lean towards your foot again. This is working towards head to toe, where you literally touch your head to your toe. This flexibility is not only in your hamstring, but also in your calf and in your ankle. 1,000, 2, 1,000. All right, shake that out. The next thing that we're gonna do is a series of contract and relax exercises to really open up that back hip. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna sit up tall with your thigh vertical, and instead of pushing your hips forward, you're gonna try to tuck your hip under by engaging your back glute here. You can think of it as kind of a rolling motion, trying to tuck your pelvis forward. We're gonna do 10 contract and relax cycles. So 1, hold that, try to get to full extension and relax. 2. All right, the next thing that we're gonna do is push our hips forward and do contract and relax cycles again, this time pushing our hip down into the ground. Again, trying to engage that back glute to open up that front hip. 1. All All right, the next exercise that we're gonna do is very similar. You're gonna come against a wall. You can also use a couch. I've heard this called the couch stretch. You will put your back knee against the wall and then get to a lunge position. Take a second to get comfortable here. If you can, come up on your front knee, but if you can't, that's okay. You can keep leaning forward. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 10 more contract and relax cycles, this time pushing our back foot into the wall. As you push your foot into the wall, you should also feel a stretch across your back thigh. 1, 2. All right, I have one more back hip opening exercise for you guys. Sorry, I have a lot of these hip flexor opening exercises because my hips are so tight. You're gonna start in a lunge with your knee and your foot down. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna straighten that back leg to stretch across that back hip. 2. All right, shake that out for a bit. We're gonna spend some time in a pigeon stretch. This is also a big limiting factor in my flexibility. What you're gonna do is you're gonna have your front leg crossing you at 90 degrees. This is really tight for me, so I'm gonna use some blocks to get myself a little bit higher up. So I really get a stretch across the outside of this front leg. Get to a position where you feel a stretch across the outside of your front leg. You can lean your torso forward and back to feel that more. We're just gonna hold this for 30 seconds. Okay, shake that out for a second. The next thing that we're gonna do 3 sets of 30 seconds in as far of a split as we can get to. Again, feel free to use blocks. If you have chairs, you can use those too. I also like little parallel bars. Those are very helpful. They're helpful for helping you get into the right position so that you can really focus on the stretch rather than wiggling around and having your chest in weird positions, trying not to be completely uncomfortable. This should be a little bit uncomfortable, but the blocks will ideally help you get into a position where you're stretching and feeling the right kinds of uncomfortable. And the first stretch for 30 seconds we're gonna do is just getting into the lowest split possible. So start in a half split position and then slide out. Here I recommend trying to keep your hips square like a gymnast and keep that back knee down. This is because I think these square splits are actually more difficult. They're also useful for things like your stretch kicks rather than having that back hip open. And then once you have good square splits, it's actually very easy to transition them to open splits by just turning that back leg out. Whereas if you only train your open splits, then it will be very difficult to be able to do closed splits. All right, keep breathing here. Oof. All right, you can shake that out. I like to do these 90-90s. I have my legs out to 45 degrees and then bring one knee into the center and then back up and then the other knee into the center. Once that's all shaken out, we're gonna do the next set of splits. For this one, I want you to reach your chest towards your foot. If you're up here, that is totally fine. Just have a flexed foot and lean your chest forwards towards your foot in a split position. If you can get your hands on your foot, great, and pull towards head to toe. We'll do this for 30 seconds. And shake it out. Another way that I like to relax between doing my sets of splits is to get into a quadruped position and then slide my hips side to side. All right, we're gonna do one more set of splits for 30 seconds. This time, I want you as much as possible to keep your hands off of the ground for the entire 30 seconds. And begin. Okay. All right, great work, everybody. You can do that whole routine again on the other side, starting from the lunge position where you push back and forth. Put this routine into your weekly training, and I promise you, you will see improvement in your splits. One last thing that I forgot to say is that there are so many different stretching routines out there, and from my perspective, it doesn't actually matter so much which one you pick, as long as you stay consistent with what you're doing and you push yourself a little bit every time that you do it. I think that is much more important than any which combination of stretches or where you get your routine from. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, and jayo.